Okay, here is how we're going to glue up an NC scarf. So here I have a scarf showing the dovetails and the wavy edge. We're going to dry fit this together to make sure everything looks proper before we go ahead, spread the epoxy, and put it together with clamps. So to do a dry fit, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to do a little cleanup with epoxy, with sandpaper on the edges, real light touch just to make sure that looks good. Anything grain that's torn, we're going to clean that up. Make sure there's nothing inside the scarf blocking it, chips of wood. One piece, the bigger one preferably, will be on the bottom, and the smaller piece will be facing up, and that's the piece that we're going to turn over. So for the dry fit, you turn it over, you get the wavy edge registering. So I'm lifting up on the plank, registering the wavy edge, and once I feel that is even, I'm going to let down on the plank, and I could feel the dovetails on the inside engage. And the ultimate test is just to move the whole plank, and if the whole plank moves as one unit, then you know you're good. So we're ready to glue the NC scarf together. We're using MAS Flag epoxy or Flag resin, which is a medium viscosity epoxy that's perfect for gluing the NC scarf. I've got my mixed up batch here, unthickened. It's been mixed for 2 minutes at exactly the right ratio. And we're going to go ahead and start brushing this on with a chip brush, which has been cut to be a little bit shorter than how it comes. And what you'll see is you'll see the epoxy wetting out the grain. And I'm going to run carefully the bristles all along the edges, being sure to get all in the corners, and we don't want to put too much epoxy on. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to brush out the epoxy on both surfaces, and notice how they're pushed up together so I can really quickly spread the epoxy pretty efficiently. At first, just to get it out of the brush, and then I'm going to go back and clean it up. And make sure that the bristles are getting the epoxy in the corners and not leaving too much. And if there's a little bit too much of an accumulation, I'll go ahead and take that epoxy out and re-spread it where it's dry. Okay, we're going to put finishing touches on with epoxy. It's always good to check for dry spots. The epoxy is soaked in a number of places, so we're going to come back and make sure those places have fresh epoxy, check all the corners, and also we're going to take the brush and just dab it along this end grain of the edge of the scarf. That's the edge that engages with the other plank. We want to make sure there's some epoxy on that end grain. Come back, sometimes I'll go opposite like this, and that drops some epoxy right into that corner. And then I can spread that right along. Any dry spots, again, dab on these dovetails, make sure the dry spots are taken care of. And you could always drop a little extra epoxy in the corners where it looks a little bit dry. That looks good. A couple dry spots in here just to be on the safe side. Okay. Next, we're going to put together this plank. Register first along the wavy edge to get the alignment, and then drop it in place, pushing down on each of these dovetails and making sure that the outside is flush. And once you're sure you're engaged, we can align the planks and make sure these planks are perfectly aligned all around the perimeter. All right, both planks are stacked on top of each other, and they're exactly mirroring each other. So on the bow end of the planks, I've got these two clamps. Everything's exactly flush, Back at the stern here, the planks are precisely flush, and they're flush at the scarf. So I know when these glue together, they're going to be the same mirror image of each other. I've got the clamping caul ready to go. This is 3/4, but it could be even thicker. Storage tape so it doesn't stick. I've got plastic in between the planks. I've got additional plastic that's going to go between the caul and the scarf itself, so no squeeze out causes any wood to get prematurely glued together. And I've got some nice long clamps that are going to clamp this all down to the bench, and a couple weights to put on top. So the first step is to put the plastic down, making sure the whole width of the scarf is covered. Double check that everything's aligned. Caul goes on, making sure you're overlapping the edge of the scarf and that the whole width of the scarf is being covered. So the caul should be slightly wider than the scarf. Check both sides. Grab your clamps, clamp down. Go snug with one. Clamp down the other. Once that's snug, we can go as tight as you can go. And then we'll drop the weights right in the middle where the pressure is a little less. And then with another minute or two time, we could look underneath and we can see the squeeze out starting to come out. It'll take about 30 seconds or a minute, but we want to lift these plastic sheets and make sure we see a little glue coming out.